Look at little Miss Puppy Dog down there. Hey folks, welcome to the Thriller Zone. We're going to get started here with that lovely lady in just a moment. So stay tuned, won't you? I got something that's on my mind and I want to share it with you. I wrote a book recently and I didn't write it because I wanted to be inspirational. I wrote it because life kind of sucker punched me when I wasn't looking. It was funny because a couple of years ago, I got a phone call from my doctor. Doctor says, Dave, got some bad news. You've got prostate cancer. I'm like, holy shit, what? You know, no dramatic music, no wise doctor speech, just 2 minutes on the phone. And I'm staring at the wall thinking, Jesus, life is about to change big time. And what it did was it made me figure out pretty fast that life kind of falls into two columns when you get prostate cancer, any kind of cancer. The shit that matters and everything else. And that's when I thought, why don't I just write a book and call it Life in Two Columns? Shit that matters and everything else. It's not a cancer book. It's a wake-up call. And if you think it's a kind of a feel-good woo-woo nonsense, it's not. Though there is enough science packed into this less than 200-page book that you'll feel informed yet not overwhelmed. And you'll get enough humor because you're going to be chuckling at the absurdity of my life, which unfortunately is based a lot on truth. There might even give you a little lump in your throat. But here's the part that is not funny, and it's a statistic that is real. 1 in 8 men will get prostate cancer this year. So one of those in 8 is going to die from a silent killer, kind of like I almost did. Luckily, I gave it a 1-2-3 punch combo, which you're going to hear about both in the book and then in today's show, that all but kicked me on my ass. The good news is I'm still here standing. The real trick here, as I'm trying to get across to you, it's simple. Get the test. Could save your life. If any of this hits home, if you know someone who has prostate cancer or they're wondering about it or the numbers are high or this, that, and the other, then this book may be for you. You can read the book. You can listen to me tell the story. It's going to be available in both ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Go to my website, davidetemple.com. Okay, now let's get to the show. Hello, folks, and welcome to the Thriller Zone. I'm your host, David Temple. Ordinarily, however, today, this beautiful, lovely, talented, gorgeous woman is the host. Please welcome Tammy Temple.
Thank you, David. I'm so excited to be hosting what I call Nonfiction Friday on the Thriller Zone.
You know, I've been talking about doing this Nonfiction Friday, which you reminded me of earlier when you said, Dave, you talk about a lot of things and sometimes you don't do it. And I'm like, well, guilty as charged. And you were right about that because I've been talking about Nonfiction Friday for a while.
Letting people into a sneak peek of the dynamics of our relationship. That I busted your chops a bit.
You busted my chops, but you know what? If you're not busting the chops, then you're not being real. And that's one thing about us. We're pretty real.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to give you the time and the space to talk about your journey with prostate cancer. You give so much to authors that come on the Thriller Zone, and you provide a platform that people can share about their writing journey, their work journey, their personal lives, their career, anything that has come into their space that has kind of prompted them to write or do a current project. It only seemed fair as I've watched you go through this journey.
You had a front row seat on it, yeah.
It could be a little emotional.
Yeah, well.
On Nonfiction Friday.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've watched you navigate this journey. I've watched you try to put your experience onto paper and figure out how and if and why you might want to share your journey with the public. So I just felt it was only fair that why not turn the tables on you, offer to jump in and be a host, and put you on the hot seat today, Mr. Temple?
Oh, and I should probably take this opportunity to say that, as you may or may not have heard at the beginning of the show prior to our coming on, and you will hear at the end of the show, and you will hear a commercial inside the show, Yes. Is it a little bit of a promotion for my new nonfiction book that is in pre-order status right now? And if I really bust my hump, I'll be able to edit the show in time to air this week, right in time for the debut of the book, which is, and this is usually where I pull up my book and go, look, here's my book, or whomever's on the show. And my book being Life in Two Columns, Shit That Matters, and Everything Else, which I'll explain where that title came from shortly. But yeah, I thought, well, you thought this is your idea. So I want to make sure you get all the credit, all the love. Ordinarily on a Nonfiction Friday, we would be pulling up nonfiction books. However, damned if I don't have just a veritable plethora of fiction books coming at me on any given week. I mean, by the stacks. I got a few that came in this week that I'm very excited about. But so when you said, hey, honey, why not talk about your book? And the timing's going to be kind of perfect. And here's another thing. Ding Dong here did not jump on a few things quickly enough. November is National Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Hello. And here it is halfway through, and I missed part of that boat. But you know what? Doesn't matter, does it?
I understand the conflict of putting yourself and your work out there when your podcast is specific to promoting and lifting up and championing other authors in this genre. And if you were writing your own thriller book, I could see that you might have a hard time getting your head wrapped around that. This is not that. This is a nonfiction experience that touches, the word cancer touches more people's lives than not. So to take an opportunity and try to connect with your audience about a term that has probably no doubt touched every single person that has listened to your podcast. So I'm just going to jump in and ask you, when you first heard that you had prostate cancer, what were some of the first thoughts that hit you?
The very first two that came to my mind, this is going to be challenging to get through without getting a little emotional. Holy shit was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and you'll see this in the book, because I hold nothing back. I tell you exactly how it is. I remember that moment when I went in, and I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but when the first urologist said, "Oh yeah, your numbers are crazy off the charts, dude. I think you got prostate cancer." What? And the reason it felt so weird is I'm like, I do all the right things. We eat right. We don't do the bad things hardly at all. Every once in a while, get plenty of sleep, exercise every day, blah blah blah. And look at me, I'm feeling fantastic at this age. So how could that be? So holy shit was the first one. Second one, how long do I have? I mean, that when that word hits your radar, you don't know how long it's been with you. You don't know how deep it has gone. However, I will say this. When we got the notice, it was 9.06. And it had jumped to that from a 4-ish in 2 years. As Linda Olafson, the integrative medicine specialist, said, when I said, "Oh, is that bad?" That's how dumb I was. She goes, "That should take you about 2 decades to jump. Maybe." So that's when I started freaking. So, holy shit, how long do I have? And how bad will things get as it pertains to how it will affect you and me? And of course, that stuff came in pretty quickly. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting when you walk through that cancer door, you realize it's a door you're never going to walk back out of. Your life takes a turn and a shift, and now all of a sudden you're just down a new corridor that you're never going to exit.
That is so well put. And I never would have thought that. Dad died when he was 56 from a very rare disease, not cancer adjacent. Mom died in 2018, summer, pancreatic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And that bitch comes in rolling like a freight train and doesn't take any prisoners. And then my sister has had a brush with breast cancer. So when this came in, I'm like, that's not going to be me. But yeah, you're right. You go through that door, there's no turning back.
And I think it was also interesting to realize how much, as educated people, we did not know about cancer and just how it operates.
Is that Sunny? Oh, baby needs some attention. That's Sunny, folks, in case you haven't met Sunny yet. Come here, baby. Sunny is the love of our life. Little yellow lab, 18 months, knocking on 75 pounds. She's going to make herself known.
Yeah.
This might be a good time. I had it thinking about mentioning it later, but do you remember when Michael and Elizabeth came over, Elizabeth Hart, Michael is your boss at Laz Parking, came over to visit when we had just moved in to the new place. And Michael and I are standing there in the kitchen, living room area, great room. And he said, so how you doing, buddy? I'm like, well, let me tell you. Oh, there she is. When the word cancer shows up, it instantly puts your mind into two columns, shit that matters and everything else. And he kind of chuckled. And that was when I had the epiphany. Oh, no. When I write this book, if I ever do, and this was almost 3 years ago, that's what I'm going to call it. Because instantaneously, there is shit that matters, and then everything else just goes, or should. And that's what the book is about in part. So, yeah.
I mean, one of the benefits of having that type of a diagnosis is if your life wasn't cleaned up before, it gets cleaned up pretty quick. And we had done a really good job of just clearing out like drama and, bad behaviors from our world. And then when this diagnosis came in, I mean, we chiseled the fine edges off of any remaining noise in our space. And when Michael and Elizabeth, who are also dear friends of ours, that we've known for, at that point, seven. They were some of the first friends that we created, that we brought into our space when we moved to Southern California. That was, I think, just like a month or two before you were going in for your surgery. We get this diagnosis, you get this diagnosis, we are immediately thrust down this path. We start to learn everything we can devour about prostate cancer, you name it. And then you end up getting on track with the right supportive safety net of doctors, an oncology team, that surgical group. So do you have any feedback, like for people when they guys, like kind of give me some background on what is it like to be a dude and, go down the world of navigating PSA numbers and tests and all of that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, nobody, your average bear, we'll just use that blanket statement, doesn't know what a PSA is, or they think, oh yeah, I don't know, it's like somewhere around 2 or 3. I'll figure it out later. Okay, cavalier attitude. I had that. A lot of guys do. So they don't keep up with it, or haven't in the past. I didn't. I heard a number. I'm like, is 2 good? Is it 2 bad? 3? Is 4 bad? How bad is a 5? So you kind of don't know, don't think, don't analyze. Very cavalier attitude. I remember having like, I'm okay. I feel fantastic. Nothing's, you get out of here. So I think it's the cavalier attitude. If you ask me what, why did I choose to tell this story, which is kind of what you're inferring, is that very thing. I had that cavalier attitude. I know a lot of my buddies did back a few years back when we were just hanging out on the golf course, and guys would be talking about, hey, I went to the doctor today, I had the test, it's always like the test, the snap of the glove. Nobody likes it. Of course, it's not comfortable. It's also a little humiliating after a fashion, but probably nothing but gals go through on a much more frequent basis. And so we just like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll kick that can down the road until next year. And you can't do that. And moreover, you don't want to have the blood test is really kind of the other side of that coin. That's the key, So that is crucial. All right, that's going to be a little annoying. Is there something we can do for her? Look at her. She's like, Mom, I'm not getting enough attention. Dad's getting all the attention. Look at her.
Son, come here. Oh, come here.
We're going to pull out a toy and that
Emir.
may or may not do it. Oh, there you go. Or a fistful of dog treats. It's an amazing thing when you give a dog like this who is really food friendly, food centric, they will eat everything in sight. And if you're treating them constantly, they will get fat. This one put on an extra 10 pounds until we went away for our 3-week vacation. When we came back, she was so svelte. What do you say we take a short break? And when we come back, we're going to dive further into Life in Two Columns, Shit That Matters, and everything else right here on the Thriller Zone. Stay with us. And she's back.
Sorry for that brief interruption.
No worries. And is that
childcare responsibilities?
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I get it. As a female, we're primed with annual doctor's appointments from a very young age. A lot of, conversations that are, you feel vulnerable. It's not always easy to talk about, female experiences either, although it should be comfortable because it's just a part of life.
Sure.
And so from a male perspective, I understand the challenge of just part of these exams being somewhat humiliating. But the reality is, like you referenced, the gist of it is these cancers are showing up earlier for whatever reasons. We don't need to go down that path. And so the sooner that people get used to understanding just baseline information. I'm 30 years old. I had a PSA test. Here's my number. And now I just, as a guy, just do this blood work annually. And when you're at a steady state and when things become abnormal, then at least you've had this gauge of information and you can note when there's been a shift.
Yeah. And, back in the day, which is not that far past, it was always just the DRE, digital rectal exam. It wasn't until recently that the PSA, the blood test that really shows antibodies, etc., which you'll learn about in the book, Life in Two Columns, that they became more prevalent. And to your point, Tammy, which is great, and we talked about this during this process, is that because of more processed food, maybe abusing certain elements a little bit too much craft beer, anything that increases inflammation in the body. And we could go off on that for about an hour and a half, but we won't. And environmental stress and personal stress, cortisol, etc. All these things lift the markers up higher and make them more prevalent. And if Dr. Robert Shapiro, my urologist and surgeon, were on this show, which you'll be able to hear him impart in the audiobook when it comes out in a few weeks. He would tell you that, hey, there's a lot of different elements at work now that weren't a few years ago. And then I'm sitting down talking to your dad, my father-in-law, Tom, months back, and he had prostate cancer, and the procedures were infinitely more brutal, shall we say, not nearly as delicate. And so, yeah, we're there's more things at play now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what a PSA number was 15 plus years ago when my
Yeah.
dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Similarly, he has an aggressive form of prostate cancer. And um, again, similarly, he had a radical prostatectomy and as much radiation as someone could tolerate to stop the spread of the cancer. Fortunately, he has been cancer-free for all these years. But again, there's always a little bit of a inhale when he is now on an annual rotation as far as testing protocol. But if we kind of circle back to you and we talk about your journey, what surprised you about this journey emotionally, physically, spiritually that maybe you weren't necessarily prepared for when you opened up this door or this door was opened up for you?
Okay. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. Well, emotionally, heart-wise, how vulnerable I felt suddenly. Meaning, well, okay, so let's break this down real quick. You got cancer, you got it bad, it's aggressive. Check. We got to get in the and he gave me the option. You have two columns, not my two columns, which is life in two columns, his two columns, A, B. A, radical prostatectomy, we cut it out, you're on your way, happy trails. B, David, B, we can do radiation, probably going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. It's going to fry you like a microwave. And then on top of that, or alongside that, you're going to have hormone replacement therapy. So you're going to be injected with hormones that takes your manliness away and injects you with feminineness, not even a real word. So you're going to get all the hot flashes and my boobs are going to grow and you're going to get a pot belly and you're going to get emotional and you're going to have the sweats and oh my God, the hot flashes. And of course, Tammy had a great heyday with me on that one. She's like, welcome to my world. So you got that physically, on the emotional front. So you're dealing with all that. And so of course I said, I'll take door number one.
Well, and let's put some context around the hormone therapy. The hormone therapy shuts down your testosterone, which feeds the prostate cancer cells. So that option was we're going to shut down the cancer, the feeding schedule of this cancer, and we're going to kind of, like you said, squash that growth period down. But also from a radiation standpoint, had you gone that route, you would not be able to do surgery in the future, correct?
Yeah, so two things. So he said, you choose A or you choose B. If you choose B, you can't go back to A. If you choose A and it doesn't fit and it doesn't work, you'll go to B, but you can't do it in reverse. So I'm like, well, A, first of all, that sounds better. I can do a little surgery, big deal. Secondly, I don't want to go that way and then not be able to turn back. So then when we did the radical, and we thought, he even said remember that day he comes in, oh, high fives, you're cool, we got it all, yay. 3 months later, shit, Dave, sorry, but it's back. And that's when you go, now we have to hit it with everything we can. And luckily, because I was in such good shape, diet-wise, etc., exercise, no drugs. He goes, if you'd come in here heavy in a wheelchair on a lot of medications, it would be a different story, but you didn't, so we're going to throw everything at it. So then you do all that, and because some little fella jumped ship and was heading upstream in the lymph nodes, that's why they had to throw everything in it, because if that jumps ship lymph nodes attaches to a bone, you're kind of foobar.
So let's pull back a bit. You go in for the radical prostatectomy, and we get a nice clean bill of health. The pathology comes back. The cancer had spread to some vesicles, but they removed those vesicles, and the surgical team was pretty confident that you were in good shape, good to go.
Yes.
I remember your first checkup appointment. It was in January of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And because we felt like, hey, you're good to go, everything is looking good, I did not go with you.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming home and you walked in the door and your face was like the color of the wall. It was just like this gray, ash gray color. And the wind was knocked out of your sails. And now we were moving in the direction of, we need this very sensitive PET scan. We need to move into UCSD radiology oncology. Radiology oncology. I think that's the proper term.
Yeah.
And now, again, we're going down another path, trying to figure out how do we get in front of this and stop this train that is definitely on a fast track.
Yeah. And in the book, by the way, I give you this play-by-play in a much more detailed way, but yeah, and then then the fun ensues. The radiation was next, and I was expecting the worst, and that ended up being the second easiest. The surgery itself was really nothing, and the adaptation of that was really nothing. The radiation comes in like a slow storm. First week, second week, I remember also, speaking of cavalier, I got this, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys talking about? And then about week 3, and what did I do, honey? 7 weeks.
Yeah, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
First thing in the morning, and by week 3 or 4, you start feeling it, and you're kind of baking from the inside out, and you want to nap all the time because it's just
you were tired.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, and then with the hormones going wiki wacky, and oh boy, not for the faint of heart.
So the hormone therapy, you touched on that. Once you had the radical prostatectomy, the next option was to try to curtail this with hormone replacement therapy. So we're going to throttle down your testosterone, and we're going to do targeted radiation to try to stop those cancer cells from growing and spreading. What was the hormone therapy like for you?
The very first thing, first few days, weeks, you don't even realize anything's happening. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're like, you're going along, you're like, whew, did somebody turn on the heat? And it comes in so quietly. I remember going, honey, can we just turn the air on? Because it's, it's kind of hot. Then you go into flop sweats. And then you realize, this is what's happening. And then the covers are on, the covers are off, and the sweater's on, the sweater's off. And that's annoying enough in and of itself. But then, guys, listen to this. This will F you up. I'm sitting there watching TV commercials, and a tender little commercial will come on, and I'll be like, honey, look at that. It's so sweet. And that's when you realize, wait a minute, what? Because your emotions are just crazy and you'll cry at the drop of a hat. That was the craziest. And then I think probably all things considered, the worst was the fog, that brain fog that comes in like a fog, like Marin County fog, and you're just, and kids listening to the show who has followed the show, I'm going to tell you straight up, and I probably hid a lot of this from you. And you guys my audience has become such a great support and friend to me. But there were days that I'm sitting here talking to some people. I won't remember their names maybe right now. And I'd be in the middle of a sentence. I could not remember what I was going to say. I mean, it could be a good friend of mine, and I'm right. I'm in the middle of saying it. I'm like, I cannot remember what I was going to say. So I would always like I always do. Oh, wait a minute. That makes me think of something else. Jack Stewart. Let's go over and talk about this. While I would sit there going, okay, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? So that brain fog is a real thing, and that lasted for 9 months probably.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard. And to this day, and you used to say this to me, and I was like, yeah, honey, I got this. I'm a Superman. Why did I work so hard during a lot of this treatment? To this day, I don't know why, but I guess maybe I was just trying to ignore the reality that was
distraction.
Yeah, coming down the road.
Yeah.
But there were times I was like, I don't even know how I'm doing this because I can't remember what I even said 20 minutes ago. Anyway, don't want to belabor that point, but okay. You said heart-wise or emotionally, physically. So hormones screwed up my head, and then you said spiritually. I remember how I kept thinking, this will categorically affect how I'm going to think about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make this point crystal clear. And I'm going to go back to the title, Life in Two Columns, Shit That Matters and Everything Else. Because I knew categorically there was going to be a paradigm shift that you put it so well, I'm going to walk through a door I cannot go back through. Things will never quite be like they were. And I'm not going to drill down on the show, but you can read it in the book. There are things when you have that operation, things aren't quite like they used to be. And we'll just leave it at that right now. And so I knew, and it's been a struggle, and it will be a struggle for a lot of guys. There are ways around it, of course. But so categorically, had to rethink things. But it really does. What it does is it helps you put everything into perspective.
That is a point to hold on because I remember conversations that we were having during this time. Like while you're in it, you're just kind of moving from one segment to the next segment, one day to the next day, one treatment to the next treatment. And you're holding on to trying to understand what happens now.
Right.
So you get on the other side of radiation. So now we're in 2 years on this prostate cancer. We're 2 years into how do I adjust my life? How do I distract myself in a working environment that's healthy and does not propel negative behaviors? How do I adjust my life and look at the dynamics of the people that I have in my life and create this healthy dialogue, this healthy framework so I'm protecting myself. And then you look at how do I physically take care of myself while I'm going through this, while I come out of this, because you want to have longevity, you want to have quality of life. We have little grandkids. We have 3 grandkids now. Holy cow. You want to be popo and you want to be active popo and fun popo and, the support system that you are to those little guys for years to come. So as you've moved through this and now you're 1, 2, moving into year 3 of this, how has your focus, just in general, community, passion, how has that continued to shift and evolve?
Well, I will say that the friends that were there at the beginning who are still with me, like I remember Chris Hottie would check on me periodically.
Oh, he contacted me all the time.
Yeah, and just how's my buddy doing?
Mm-hmm.
You got no idea what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
My 2 best friends in the world Mike Gross and David Svensson, who I've known for decades and decades and decades, wouldn't let a week go by without checking in on me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the thick of that shit, you are so grateful to have a phone call or a text. Never had to be much. It didn't have to be long, but just knowing. There were moments and very, you know me, honey, I'm not melodramatic. I'm not walking around going, oh, Jesus, the world is going to end. I'm going to die. You knew that was a possibility, but not a probability. But when those folks would check in on me, and Jack Stewart, every time he would call out of nowhere, he'd be in town flying for Southwest. Buddy, can I just swing by? Can we grab a bite or a coffee? Sure. That right there, nothing like it. My sissy, my younger sis, every day, flew out and spent what did she spend, like 2 weeks with me? We just hang by the pool. And I remember saying, remember this? I said to her, I'm like, Sissy, come on out. This was maybe pre-radiation. Oh, come on out. I feel fantastic. What the hell?
Yeah,
Let's go.
yes.
Yeah. We'll party. We'll drink everything. She gets out here and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, baby, I'm moving so slow. We just got to sit down a little bit. And, and there was a lot of shifting around there, but
Yeah, especially on the partying and the drinking.
yeah, that stuff kind of that had to go by the wayside. And even to this day, when you realize what the deterioration factor, and I'm not sitting here going, don't drink, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you have a healthy habit of it, you are not going to help yourself get better faster by doing it. There are other ways to knock the edge off if you want to. We'll talk about it one day. But yeah, so I think that answers the question.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I made this point because if I was like, how can I stay strong? One big realization came well into it. And I went down to the gym downstairs back when we were just working out downstairs. I couldn't do one push-up. I couldn't do one pull-up. I couldn't lift a barbell. And that was heartbreaking, humiliating, mind-crushing, because a lot of that was the hormones, the testosterone getting taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, that's all come back. And both of my doctors, Bonnie and Shapiro, said, dude, be patient, be gracious with yourself. Most all of this will come back. And that is a message I want to make sure I get across so that you don't walk away feeling fatalistic. It will come back. But I would channel my dad, who used to always say, son, hang in there. I kept thinking of you, of course, I got to go stay strong for Tammy. We have so much to do yet. And then I thought of big picture stuff. And I always heard this phrase, the best way through is forward, or the best way forward is through. You can reverse those. And those, I held on to that. Nietzsche said that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You can get a little existential on that bullshit, but that is kind of true. So staying strong, it's right here. It is amazing. And you've always been so good about that, is having a partner who is rock steady. And you're not a big emotional person. You don't have lots of waves, thank goodness. But boy, every once in a while I'd see it in your eyes. And that's when it would really kind of get me and break my heart, because I'm like, oh, I got to be strong for her. So.
Yeah. So I would say that it's the obvious statement is really supporting yourself with a safety net of people that can be there for you, and kind of read the room. What do you need? Do you need to go for a walk? Do you need alone time? Do you need to sit down and have a cup of coffee and a conversation? Like, being able to read the room, and sometimes knowing what you didn't even know for yourself, but because of history, there's an understanding of how to provide support and guidance. So if we were to transition, we talked about this a lot, and we talked about it with a few different people. What made you finally take that turn, and that the title had stuck in your mind forever from the moment you and Michael had the conversation. But what made you finally decide, you know what? I'm going to put pen to paper and I'm going to write my story and share my story and frame it the way that you have framed it. What was the impetus?
I think the first thing that popped in my head was this. Don't go Dr. Googling on yourself when you first get details, because that's what you'll do. And it will freak you the hell out. And it's not smart. We did it. You're going to try to read lab reports.
Oh my gosh. The definitions of.
The definitions will screw you up. The side effects that may have nothing to do with anything, you're going to go down a rabbit hole that will destroy your brain. Don't do it. That's in the book, Life in Two Columns. Just don't do it. But I'm trying to think, I remember thinking, and I make this point in the book, I wish I had a worksheet, a primer. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm not a complicated guy. Give me one sheet. Tammy will tell you, give me a sheet. You can talk to me like a 10-year-old as long as you don't insult me, and just say, do this, do this, do this, do this. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's all you got to do. Do this, don't do that. And I thought, I wish, because golly, remember the hours and the days we would spend down these rabbit holes.
I think the hard part is that there isn't a human side of healthcare anymore. And maybe there is in some concierge type services, but that's what I think you're really talking about, is what happened to the human side of healthcare. You could not get a prostate cancer for dummies type document to save your life.
Babe, that is so perfect. And I at one point for about 30 seconds, I thought, yeah, prostate cancer for dummies. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me just some guidelines. And matter of fact, I pulled up my book here in in the app that I wrote it in. Of course, I can't pull the book up here, although I'm going to stick the cover up on the screen here periodically. But and it's funny, you said this earlier. Chapter 1, what happens now? Mm-hmm. Chapter 2, the C word. But where is it that you talked about what happened to humanity? And I just remember thinking, and I'm not going to disparage anyone. I do mention it in the book. I don't want to be slanderous, but there was one particular doctor that had the bedside manner of a fire hydrant, perhaps, on a bad day. And I just wanted to go, can you stop? I know you give this news every day, but could you take just a beat and think about, I've never heard this before, and you're kind of open-handed bitch slapping me, and I didn't see it coming. So, yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I wanted to compile something short and sweet. And folks, it's like maybe 170 pages. So I thought, I need to write this. And I remember when we were doing this, honey, and I had talked to a particular person to help me with some parts of the book that didn't work out the way I wanted. And I was going to kind of put it aside. And I just kept nagging at me. I'm like, guys need to hear this. They need to be able to find one little thin little book, easy to read, that goes, okay, David, he was this guy. He did that. He has this. This is what he did. These are the results. There's just enough science that it's not going to spin your head on your shoulders. There's enough humor, hopefully, that will make you go, oh, okay, I get it. There's enough heart in it that you're going to know that I'm speaking the truth. And there's enough complexity and facts and figures that you're going to go, oh, guy did his homework. And in the back, and this came to me late, my sister, thank you to my sister for doing this. But she said, look, how about workshops? Or worksheets. So I made up these little tables of worksheets so that you could at any moment go, okay, because back to the HRT brain, the fog brain. Okay, I'm going to go in. Remember this, honey? I'm going to go into Dr. Shapiro. I need a sheet. Okay, doc, what about this? What do I do next? What happens after that? And that sounds simplistic, but when you got foggy brain, you need the help. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
There's some great chapter titles in case you ever want to hear some of them, but keep going.
I just remember there were times we would go into Dr. Avanti as we were trying to figure out what these next steps would be. And I would say, people should really give themselves some grace to wrap their head around this. I mean, I remember the diagnosis, and then all conversation disappeared because of vacations and office hours. Like, it was kind of crazy, and we had decent healthcare coverage. So, a person just goes into a tailspin once
Yeah.
they receive this diagnosis and they can't get answers. You're told you need to get these tests right away, but then you start calling to get these tests and you have insurance company hiccups. You have scheduling challenges where, you can't get in for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, but yet you've been told by your doctor, time is of the essence. You need to get these tests done right away. Or we have a treatment plan, but then, you and I are thinking, well, wait a minute, how can we work around that treatment plan? What if we mix this and mix that because we don't really want you to have to go down one specific protocol? And so I'm not saying that's abnormal. I think it is normal. It's how, people process things. People want to own some of their own medical direction and treatment plans. And I think as people go through that, they need to just give themselves some grace and understand that that's part of the process. Like,
Yeah.
doctors, medical staff, this is their world. They're in it, you know, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, their understanding of time is of the essence and realistic turnaround time for appointments and treatment plans and insurance company speed bumps, that is their normal environment and nomenclature, where you and I and the general public, which brings in that piece about humanity, it's not our second language.
No.
So it's probably not even our third or fourth language. So, I know for you going through this whole process, that was something that kept coming back to you, was just wanting to share with people that this is part of the process. Like, you have to get your head wrapped around these things and it takes time, and just give yourself some grace as you're navigating this new path.
100%. Every man thinks he's invincible until his body calls his bluff. That was me a few years ago. I was fine. I was healthy, busy, focused on everything except the one thing that could have killed me. Prostate cancer isn't loud. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It waits, it hides, and it hopes you don't pay attention. I finally got checked, not because I was responsible, but because something felt off and I couldn't ignore it anymore. And that little 15-minute appointment turned into a life-changing wake-up call. Tests, biopsies, surgery, and the not-so-glamorous recovery you don't see on television. Yeah, it was rough, but I'm still here, and that's the point. Folks, my new book, Life in 2 Columns, isn't a cancer book. It's about showing up for the one body you've got, the people who love you, and the life you don't want to lose. It's blunt, it's honest, and it'll give you just enough science to keep you informed without boring you to death. You might even laugh, because a lot of it is ridiculous, but also true. If you're a guy or you love a guy, read it. Heck, shove it into your dad's hand if you have to. Grab the ebook for $8 or the paperback for $16 on Amazon. Just search Life in 2 Columns. And if you're someone who likes to listen while you read, December 5th, the audiobook drops for $15. Or, hey, get crazy and grab the Life in 2 Columns bundle. That's the ebook plus the audiobook for $20 at davidetemple.com. Either way, you're not just buying a book, you're helping spread a message that might save someone you love. Check it out, davidetemple.com. Take a look, take a breath, and maybe take care of yourself a little better, huh? Trust me, it's worth it. There's so many good chapters in here. And by the way, I don't think there's a single chapter in here that's longer than 2,000 words. And for those who keep count and who are writers like most of us, you know what that means. You're going to keep turning the pages. And it's only 23 chapters. Yeah. But there's a lot of meaty medical stuff at the end, but it's very specific of what you need to know. But there's so many fun things. There's the other half of the diagnosis that you're going to learn about. I do a little skit in here. I have a little love letter to a particular part of myself. I tell you how to work mind over matter. I give you health tips on if this is happening, you might want to consider this. In your best idea, don't do this, and here's why. I bring up longevity hacks because I'm a big longevity hack kind of guy. I'm trying to do all the things. We take really good care of ourselves and good supplementation and good food. So I bring that in. And there's a few chapters that are wake-up calls, the complexity of cancer, when a cancer cell goes rogue. Then there's heartfelt chapters like mourning my former self, and that's a real thing. And actually, I think Tammy may have come up with that title, and if not, she came up with the gist of the idea, and that being, and she said it earlier, you walk through a door, you're not going back through the same door again. And there's a part of you that, and this is such a big thing for guys. Guys have this particular thought about themselves. Brr, 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 brr. You can fill in the blank of what it is. Oh, I've got the world by the tail. Okay. That tail takes a different form after all this. Things don't quite measure up quite the same way they did. But as my wife so eloquently put it, and without drilling down too much on it, the things that guys generally worry about performance-wise, if you have a partner who goes, hey, it's okay, we have this, we got heart, we got other things that are more important. So I think you're going to read between the lines on that. But I cover it all in this book. I mean, in a teeny tiny little book, I cover a lot. I mean, it took a year, 2 years to do this thing. And I wanted, and it started off at like 95,000 words. And I'm like, no. I kept wanting to go, I'm not going to use the phrase, but a guy wants to be able to pick up something and while he's doing one particular kind of business, he can just rip through a couple of chapters. This is that thing.
Or if it's for someone like me, imagine if I would have had that reference material 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
And we looked for books. And what we found, at least bookstores, so on and so forth, we found very scientific, medical heavy books, or, oh my gosh, I have aggressive prostate cancer that turned into bone cancer, and this is how I'm modifying my behavior in my life in order to have quality of life and, longevity. So, but we couldn't find anything in between.
Keep going.
We couldn't find anything in between that just served as like this reference guide. What do we do? You've just received this diagnosis that you have aggressive prostate cancer. Now what?
Yeah. Well, and the book that she's referring to that became my Bible was this big bad boy. But I mean, look at the size of that. You got to this replaces Dr. Google, Dr. Patrick Walsh's Guide to Surviving Prostate Cancer. Anything you could ever want to know and then some.
Yeah.
Then Tammy turned me on to this one called Patting the Shark by Tim Baker. He was the one that...
awesome book. It's fantastic book.
I mean, he had it bad. And, but size-wise, so when you compare, this is this kind, this is about the size it's going to be. And actually, it's a little bit smaller than this. What is this? The audience is listening. Anyway, so you're right, Connie. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that point is made. Yeah. Can we find something very small and easy and digestible? Go ahead.
Yeah. So now that the book is together, the book is ready to launch. What's next?
Well, it's let's see. By the time this airs, it will be... I think the paperback is ready now. I think the paperback is actually ready on Amazon, and I'm doing it basically only on 2 places. I did approach an agent about this, and when I originally approached this particular man with whom I have a friendship and a huge admiration for, he said, "I don't know where to fit it. Because it was trying to be like 10 things to 10 people," and that's when I took a big step back and I said, I need to re-edit this with some real fierceness and cut it way down, because I kept wanting to go back to make it digestible. So going back to an earlier point, I just wanted to make sure I could get it into the hands of people. So it'll be paperback now, ebook, if not by the time this airs, very shortly thereafter, priced incredibly fairly. I'm going to do a portion of all the proceeds to the American Cancer Society with a particular focus on prostate cancer research and treatment. And I'm doing an audiobook. Imagine that, which will probably be ready next week. And you'll be able to get it so you'll be able to get both ebook and paperback on Amazon. You'll also be able to get both of those on my own personal website. We're rebuilding it to be able to make it able to do that, because I've got a special little gimmick coming that you're going to really like. Trust me on that. And then audiobook will be on my website or through Audible. Okay. Sorry to sound like a commercial there.
No. So before we close, why don't you just give an update on where your health is now? Like, you're 2 years out of surgery, you're 1 year out of radiation and hormone therapy. What does that process look like now for monitoring your health?
All right. So we were doing it every 3 months from the moment we had the surgery. So I had to go do another blood test every 3 months, like clockwork, go into the doctor,
run evaluation,
run the numbers, do an evaluation. So every 3 months. Just saw Shapiro last Thursday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, within the last week. And there was a teeny tiny, minuscule tick up. He goes, nothing to worry about. Kind of happens. If it had bounced up a solid number, a whole number, not just tenths or 100ths, then, it'd be a different thing. See you again in 4 months. So it's going 3 months, go 4 months, probably eventually going to move to 6 months. Then it'll jump to a year. And then, like your father, it'd be a yearly thing. Again, through a door you're not going back through. You just active surveillance after a fashion and watching it. But I'm just so glad that, and a lot of it came down to you staying on top of me. And hey, be sure, keep with the gym, keep with the good food, try to stay away from some of your bad habits. Beer and chips or beer and fries or Shake Shack burgers. You got to say goodbye to a few things. I'm not saying from now on, but you got to be smart.
I think that's part of a person mourning their former self. And we all hit those points in our, age groups where we just can't get away with things that we used to for whatever reason. You can't sleep anymore or whatever. It doesn't matter. But, Dave Temple has had this reputation and this charismatic behavior on how he moves through life. And some of those behaviors, don't really work in this new stratosphere. So I think that's part of it, right? It's like, hey, I'm a celebration guy and I like to kick up my heels and I like to have fun and a barbecue and a beer and a cocktail and a martini here. And that's part of the shift, is understanding how can you still be your guy,
Yeah.
but
W-
moving past some of those behaviors.
Well, I can also tell you, I'm going to sit here and preach to you that like craft beer was my nemesis for a while there. And it wasn't just one or two on the weekends. It was 3 or 4 or 5 a couple of days a week. Not a lush, but close. And then now, after all of this, I want to make this point. Should you do things smarter? Absolutely. Check. Will your body tell you whether or not you can do it anymore? Check. Like, I could, at one time, to be real frank, I could polish off a bottle of wine and happy trails and see you tomorrow morning. We'll be fresh for the show. Not anymore. Body just won't do it. Body goes, yeah, no, fuck off. Not going to happen. Sorry. Bye-bye now. It's just, so nature will take its own course. I want to make sure I had to write a note here. You had asked me, we were talking about the thriller zone and the impact it's had on my life and so forth. And I remember thinking, as I was trying to plan for 2026, because you know me, I'm always planning ahead. And I was asking myself, what is most important? Back to the two columns. What's important in 2026? And of course, Tammy busted me yet again when I said, well, I'm probably not going to do 1 or 2 episodes every single week. Honey, you've said that a couple of times, so why don't you just be real? So there might be a shift. I got a point here. There might be a shift in 2026, but what I'm focusing on is there are things that have become really important to me. A, I want to write more stories. I've got this book, Life in 2 Columns, coming out right now. I've got a neo-noir thriller that I'm working on for about 3 years, and it is done, and it's going out to agents this week or next. And then I've got something else on the horizon that is going to be so fantastically different for me. It's going to skyrocket, and that's coming up in the first quarter or so. So there's going to be a little bit of shift. But the reason for this note, I sat down the other night. You had gone to bed. You're watching the American Revolution, Ken Burns.
Documentary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was in here noodling, and I wrote a song. We're not closing just yet, but I'm going to play it on the tail end of this, give you a little hint of what is to come. And that's going to be featured on the audiobook. So I wrote a song, took it into a studio, and created it. And I'm pretty damn proud of it. And I'm going to give you a little taste of it. But that is part of what is to come. So it's a slight refocusing. I'm trying to anticipate something that you were going to ask me. Chop.
Closing comments, or were those your closing comments?
No, you're the host. Hey, I'm just kicking back, babbling like a fool. You're the host, young lady. It's the Thriller Zone with Tammy Temple. I will say, because we're approaching the end of the year, there have been some great highlights of this past year. Now, you and I are going to do our Dave and Tammy year-end extravaganza. Michael Carlson would not let me off the hook if we did not finish this year with that episode. So that's going to be on December 31st, the last show of the year. But there's a few other things up my sleeve.
Well, I'm really grateful that you were open to letting go of the control and letting me take over Command Central and steer the ship about life in 2 columns, the shit that matters and everything else. Did I muck up that title?
No, you did it perfectly.
Okay.
You
Good.
did it perfectly. And I'm going to put it on the screen right here so that everybody can see it. But without sounding like a real cheese monkey, you do need to go order a copy. Support me. Help me out here. If you can, if you want to. Great, just in time for the holidays. We are
Great.
celebrating National Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
It is in time for Thanksgiving. So maybe you, and Tammy, you made this point all along, and I want to make sure I do not negate it. I'm always thinking, hey, get this book for yourself. Sure. Get it for your brother, your best friend. Gals, get it for your husband. But the real point is get it for you, because Tammy has something to say about that, about all the different things how it affects her, right?
Yeah, I think that in addition to a book that's helpful for the men in your life, it's also really helpful for the people that are supporting you, your caretakers. You know, caretakers take a beating and they can't take care of the person that needs the caretaking if, they're emotionally, physically, financially beaten down. And so having a reference guide to just have some understanding of maybe what's in front of you, maybe some of the things that you might be going through. Yes, it's specific to prostate cancer, but some of this is just common sense as well, and can be transformative for people going through other types of health and medical diagnoses as well.
For those who are thinking about ordering a copy, of course, you can go to Amazon, and the website hopefully will be live. My current website's at davidetemple.com, but there's a new one coming, and it'll be crystal clear. The different. When you get there, you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, this is a different website. But you are going to be able to order it from my website through a company called PayHip. It's all legit. It's computers and, it's all encrypted. Everything's super safe. But if you don't feel completely safe, you can always go Amazon. I didn't go wide with a hardback because who's buying hardbacks? But if you want pricing, for instance, would this be something interesting, honey?
Sure.
So ebooks are $7.99. Okay, $8. How you doing? Can't even get a coffee to that. Paperback's going to be $15.99, and the audio is $14.99, which will be available again on my website and eventually on Audible. Audible's really kind of complicated. They take a while doing their things. But I'm going to run a combo on my website that's going to be, if you get the combo, I sound like I'll have the Wendy's combo. I want the fries and I want a biggie size it. So for $19.99, you get the ebook and the audiobook. So you can read it or you can listen to it in your car or as you're traveling. All right, all my pitching, I'm done.
Fantastic. I think that this has been a really special moment to lay it all out there, and also at the same time share with people where you are currently. Sometimes it's hard for people to ask, and you have a lot of supporters that have reached out from prior podcasts where you have talked about your cancer, you've talked about your health, wanting to know more, hoping that you're doing well, sending you well wishes. So I think this is a really nice opportunity that, in addition to sharing what you've been working on, your writing journey, what you hope comes of this book and how you feel it could help people's lives, also providing some information around the current state of your health is also good. So thank you, David, for joining us today on this Nonfiction Friday of the Thriller Zone.
Thank you, Tammy. This was fantastic, and you're an amazing host.
Ding.
For my listeners who have been here for the past 4.5 years, coming up on 250 episodes, thank you for being there. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this hour-long show. I've been kind of trimming them back to a half hour because attention spans are just shrinking. But thank you if you're still listening, thank you for being there. I appreciate it. And As always, thank you to my lovely wife for always. I could not have done this without you, period. Full stop. So thank you.
You're welcome. I love you.
I loved you. Chirp. If anybody's wondering what chirp is, just send me an email and I'll explain it to you. By the way, as we wrap, I do want to. I'm gonna lay this in here, and then if for instance my guests blow me off for some reason, then so be it. I've got a couple of really stunning interviews coming up before we wrap the year. I'm just going to mention two of them that are off the beaten path for me. Three of them. First of all, Andrina Cordani is going to kick off December with a Christmas murder mystery, which is kind of cool. Haven't done any kind of Christmas songs, stories. Robin Cook. I've been following Robin Cook since I was in high school. Remember the book Coma that became a movie? Scared the ever-loving shenunu out of me. Robin Cook's going to be on the show.
That's very cool.
Amazing. Also, Richard Armitage, The Cut. You know Richard Armitage?
Yeah, we just watched him on some British series, I think.
He's known for The Hobbit, Captain America, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Ocean's 8. This is his second novel, The Cut. Cannot wait. He's going to wrap up the year right before the Dave and Tammy year-end extravaganza. And there's others, but those are the ones that I'm just like jumping out of my socks over. But again, honey, thank you for being there. Thank you for doing this. You pushed me. I was gonna go, oh yeah, we'll do a quick little mention and then be on our way, because I didn't want to be the salesy guy. But someone pulled me aside recently, and this is not the first time they said this. David, why don't you talk about your books more? You talk to all these thriller writers, talk about your work. So I will. And you can start with this book, and then you can wait to see what's coming in 2026, everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us on this edition of Nonfiction Friday with The Thriller Zone.
Thank you. And here we're going to play a little piece of this music that I wrote for the song, and then I'll see you next time for another show on The Thriller Zone.
Thank you.
The news came out of nowhere, hit me harder than I'd say. Thought I was strong and steady, living right, feeling okay.
Doc tapped the chart and whispered, your numbers climbed a bit. My world went soft around me. First thing I asked was what happens next.
I've been putting things off, thinking time was on my side.
But trouble don't send warnings, it just shows up in your life. Time ain't promised, boy, so draw your line. Life into columns, what matters what you leave behind. Lay the worry down, man, just get the test. You got this even when the light's hard to find. Take your stand now, while there's still time.
I saw you trying to be fearless, standing tall through every doubt. But even the bravest fighters need a place to let it out.
You don't have to walk it solo, I'm right here through every mile. Sometimes a woman's quiet courage lifts a man back to his style.
You stepped up when it mattered, and that's what courage is. Not the moments without fear, but choosing life for those you miss. Time ain't promised, boy, so draw your line. Life into columns, what matters what you leave behind. Lay the worry down, man, just get the test. You got this even when the light's hard to find. Take Time ain't promised, boy.
So draw your line.
Life in two columns.
What matters, what you leave behind. Lay the worry down, man, just get the test. You got this even when the light's hard to find. Take your stand now, while there's still time.
While there's still time, yeah.
While there's still
Don't forget, you can find this book on Amazon.com. Look for the author, David E. Temple, and the book, Life in Two Columns, Shit That Matters, and Everything Else. I think Amazon won't actually let you print the word shit in certain places, but you'll get the picture. Life in Two Columns kind of does the job. And of course, you can find it on our website at davidetemple.com. We'll see you next time.